Welcome to the Vegas Insider channel here on YouTube, as we're not going to talk sports here. Instead, the 2020 presidential election, and it's coming up Tuesday, November 3rd. Kevin Rogers with you, and we're joined by Sid Rosenberg, who not only knows a lot about sports, but he has been all about this election for a while. Now, Sid is part of the morning show, co-host of the morning show, 77 WABC. Bernie and Sid in the morning, or is it Sid and Bernie? I think it's Bernie and Sid, but we'll give him the first name on that one. Now, just a quick reminder before we get to Sid's opinions that these bets are not available in the United States. They're only in overseas markets, but we're still going to get Sid's opinion on all of these with Joe Biden against Donald Trump to see if Biden can defeat the incumbent. And Sid's going to give his thoughts on several of these bets as we welcome Sid in. And Sid, it's good to see you again. The first thing, because you've been around this election for a while and talking about your morning show every day in New York for a while, how surprised are you that Joe Biden is the minus 200 favorite?
You know, I'm not surprised. I mean, let's not forget back in 2016, when I started here in New York, I actually got here in January, I should say, of 2016. So I was able to do with Bernie about 8-9 months on the air before the actual election between Clinton and Trump, and I had that one wrong too. But Hillary was a big favorite back then too. So what you see, Kevin, over the years is there's a lot of voters out there that refuse to admit they're going to vote for Donald Trump because of the backlash they get. I mean, they get legitimate backlash. Their friends, their family, co-workers, walk into a restaurant, wear a MAGA hat, you'll get your butt beat up. So I don't pay attention to that. Hillary Clinton was a huge favorite last time too. Trump won then, and Trump supporters are hoping that the polls and the odds are similar now to what they were in 2016.
Now, the last three incumbents, they all won their second term: George W. Bush, Barack Obama, and also Bill Clinton. So Trump going for a second term. Now, we've seen in the last 40 years or so, only two incumbents lose. That was George Bush's father, also Jimmy Carter. So how confident are you that Trump can win a second term?
Well, look, you're right. Jimmy Carter lost to Ronald Reagan in 1980. Bush lost to Clinton, the elderly Bush. And then, of course, Donald Trump may be the next one to go, because we have seen, I think now, 3 presidents serve consecutive terms. But look, Trump can lose. He's the underdog for a reason. The guy was doing a great job for the better part of 3.5 years. That's just my opinion. If you disagree, that's fine. And then all kinds of things hit, none of which were his fault. The pandemic coming from China and Europe, not his fault. How he handled it, that's up to you to debate. Certainly the riots in the streets, what happened with George Floyd in Minnesota, not the president's fault. How the states and governors handled it, that's up to you. But there's been enough unrest the last couple of months where if you're looking for an excuse, I don't like Donald Trump, I don't like his personality, I don't like his tweets. Now you've got some reasons above and beyond that not to vote for him. But for me, I thought for the better part of 3.5 years, this guy did an amazing job despite being attacked every day by the media, the press, and quite frankly, Congress.
What positives, Sid, do you see with Joe Biden being the president?
I don't see any. Look, this country is going to turn into a socialist country. Look, Joe Biden is not going to run the country if he wins. God bless Joe Biden. He's not a bad man. He's 78 years old. He forgets what state he's in. He forgets what position he's even running for. He confuses his wife with a stranger. If you listen to the gaffes from Joe Biden, every single time he's in the public, he says something that's relatively embarrassing. So it's not him. My fear is AOC here in New York. She can rise in the ranks and be a big-time player. And she's an anti-Semite and a socialist. Bernie Sanders, the same thing. Andrew Cuomo here in New York, who wrote a book on how to defeat COVID, even though 12,000 elderly people died in New York from COVID. That's what's on the left. So I'm not a huge Donald Trump guy in terms of his personality. I know Donald for many years, dating back to my days in boxing with Mike Tyson. But if you're asking me, do I think Joe Biden is the better candidate for president? Without hesitation, I'm going to say no. And I didn't vote for Trump back in 2016, Kevin. I voted for Hillary Clinton. But I'm adult enough to look at the situation. I wanted the country to fare well. I've got 2 kids. I think Trump did a good job. He is much better prepared to get us out of this mess, especially economically, than Joe Biden, who proved for 8 years under Barack Obama he couldn't get anything done.
Now, looking at the popular vote and the Electoral College futures, now we saw that Hillary Clinton won the popular vote 4 years ago, and Trump obviously won the Electoral College, which got him elected president. But Democrat on that one is the favorite, with Joe Biden winning the popular vote and the Electoral College at minus 225, and then Biden winning the popular vote, but Trump winning the Electoral College is plus 250. So what do you see as far as who's going to win the Electoral College and who's going to win the popular vote?
I would take that second bet. Look, the Democrat is always going to win the popular vote, Kevin, because the two states with the most people in them are New York and California. And New York and California are very, very blue states, obviously. So you're guaranteed those two states. You're just about guaranteed the popular vote. That doesn't mean you guarantee the presidency. We saw Trump go out there and win Michigan and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and Iowa, some of these swing states, obviously, that are in play again this year. But the Democrats always going to win that because of New York and California, unless, of course, you've got a very strong Republican candidate, which Donald Trump is not. But I will take Trump at plus 250 to win the Electoral College, because I think once again, talking about fracking, for example, Joe Biden said no fracking. Now he says he wants fracking. I don't think the people in Pennsylvania believe him. They shouldn't. That's a very important issue. Coal mining, obviously, in states like West Virginia. Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, the Democrats, they want no part of that. So I think you go with the Democrat to win the popular vote, and I think taking Trump to win the electoral vote, if you can get plus 250, that's a nice little money back guarantee.
Now, Sid, I want to look at some of the swing state odds with you and kind of quick fire here, your thoughts on it. And we're going to go through 8 of them. Start with Arizona. Biden is favored there over Trump. Biden about a minus 150 favorite. What do you think about Arizona?
Yeah, I don't love Trump in Arizona. Of course, it didn't help that his relationship with John McCain wasn't great. God rest his soul. And that's popped up a couple of times over the last couple of months with that ridiculous article in The Atlantic. I don't love Trump in Arizona. I think that the favorite there, Joe Biden, is probably the better bet.
In Florida, which we always know is very interesting how it's going to go. I mean, you lived here for a long time. I live here, and how it could go in South Florida versus the Panhandle versus Southwest Florida. But Biden is a short favorite against Trump here.
Yeah, I think Trump is going to win that state. I do. Now, I'm a little biased, of course, and I did speak to Senator Marco Rubio on my show just a couple of days ago, and Trump is really, really happy what it looks like from the Latino voters in Florida, and, of course, down in South Florida, plenty of Latino voters. So I think the Latinos will show up in big numbers, and that's going to give Donald Trump the edge over Joe Biden in the state of Florida. I think he pulls off Florida like he did last time.
Now, Georgia, out of these 8 states, Sid, is the only one that Trump is a substantial favorite, about minus 165 against Biden.
Yeah, I like him there, too. Don't forget, they've got the Republican governor, Cook. He was the guy that actually opened up first and against a lot of pressure, right? I mean, everybody was killing the guy, and the cases went up. Well, the testing went up also, folks. That's why cases go up. But people weren't dying, so he showed some guts, and he did what the president really wanted to do. The president did not open any states, folks. Let's stop with that nonsense. He did make suggestions. He made recommendations. He didn't tell you to drink bleach. He just asked a question. Hey, if bleach actually helps kill the virus, could we include it somehow with the medication? He didn't do any of the things that the press says he said they say that he did. But I think Georgia, Republican governor, and we saw Stacey Abrams, of course, lose there. I think Georgia goes to Donald Trump.
Now, looking at Michigan, Biden is a huge favorite there against Trump, and we know that's always, not an easy state to get. And do you think Trump gets Michigan?
I don't know. That's tough. Again, some of these states you're going to bring up now, I have a feeling Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, these were the states that Donald Trump visited in 2016, the last week or two before the election, when Hillary Clinton decided, I'm going to take a nap, and he pulled off a lot of these states, and that's why he won the election. We know, of course, the Democrats are strong in Michigan. They've got a Democratic governor there as well, by the way, with Grisham. I think Michigan, he needs that state, Donald Trump, if he's going to win this. That's the problem. Every time I give Joe Biden a state, I start to feel like Donald Trump can't win. That's a tough call. That's going to be very, very close, and Biden may get the edge.
And you mentioned George Floyd before and the unfortunate murder there during the summer. Now we look at the state of Minnesota and Joe Biden, about a 1-4 favorite there to take that state. Yeah,
that's a blue state. It's amazing. My cousin was actually able to win one term. He was senator, of course. My cousin Norm Coleman out of Brooklyn, New York. He beat Paul Wellstone, who tragically died. His whole family in a helicopter crash was replaced by Walter Mondale, and my cousin won that as a Republican. But then, of course, he lost to Al Franken. He also lost as a Republican to Jesse Ventura in the gubernatorial race. And we know, of course, we saw what happened in Minnesota with the mayor, obviously, in St. Paul. He's a Democrat, the governor. It became a complete mess. That's a blue state. I think Joe Biden wins Minnesota.
North Carolina, Biden a short favorite there against Trump.
Yeah, that's a tough one too, right? I mean, you've got the governor there is also a Democrat. I think Trump has been polling well there lately in North Carolina. A lot of these states, Biden had a much bigger edge, Kevin, not that long ago, and Trump seems to be gaining in all of these states. And that's kind of what we saw last time around. And then, of course, he won these states. So I'm going to give Trump the upset win in North Carolina.
And the final two, Pennsylvania and Wisconsin.
Yeah, I think Trump gets them both. I just think fracking and coal and as I mentioned, oil, I mean, here's Joe Biden at the very last debate telling everybody at the very end of the debate that, we're getting rid of oil. That's it. And that is about 19 million jobs if that was going to be the case in this country. So this crazy Green New Deal that he seems to appreciate that comes from AOC and others in the Blue Party is so ridiculous and so nonsensical and so unrealistic. But people in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, these blue-collar, hardworking people, oil, fracking, coal, they need those industries. So I think in the end, Donald Trump wins those states again. And if he does, now we're starting to figure out why, even though he loses in the big blue states, that gets Joe Biden the popular vote like Hillary Clinton. Then you start to see why Donald Trump has a legitimate chance. This is going to be tough. There's no doubt about it. I think Trump supporters feel better the last week and a half. I think that obviously the Hunter Biden stuff doesn't help Joe Biden. I know the left is playing it off. Oh, it's a hoax. Well, what about Russia? Wasn't that a hoax for 3 years? What about the Ukraine? What about impeachment? Wasn't that a hoax? See, when it's on their side, it's a hoax. But when we've got the New York Post showing legitimate emails from Hunter's computer, that's a hoax too. They can't all be hoaxes. So I think the Hunter Biden stuff hurts Joe Biden. I think Donald Trump had a very impressive debate last Thursday night. I think he's got some momentum going into next Tuesday. And even though he is the underdog like he was last time, I think we're going to get Donald Trump for a second term. At least I hope so.
So, Sid, when it's all said and done, after next Tuesday, who's going to win the election?
Well, listen, right now you're getting good back with Trump, right? I mean, you got a later win with Joe Biden. He's the favorite. So you got the champ, right? Anytime you can take the champ as an underdog, you got to take that. I mean, just forget about what I really think about politics and who I think is going to be the better president. Just from a gambling angle, if I've got the champ and he's an underdog, I'm sorry, I'm going to take him every time, whether it's Rocky against Clubber Lang or Drago. Yeah, you had to win the second time. That's the bad news for Donald Trump supporters. But I'm going to take the president here. He's the underdog. He's the champ. You got to unseat the champ. Joe Biden can certainly do it. Odds are he will do it. Most people on the street think he will do it. But that's, of course, what we heard back in 2016. And the next thing you know, the apprentice star was the president of the United States. I'm going to take Donald Trump plus to win his second straight election.
Sid Rosenberg, always great information. 77 WABC in New York. He hosts the morning show there, and a lot to talk about prior to the election, obviously after the election, on seeing who wins between Biden and Trump. Sid, thank you so much for the time.
No, this was great. First of all, I love you. You're my favorite guy at VegasInsider, my favorite talk show host in South Florida. And I will tell you this on the way out. Forget about the Lakers and the Celtics. Forget about the Red Sox and the Yankees. Forget about the Packers and the Bears. You want great rivalry. Talk politics every day. The Clinton-Trump thing was so nasty. This is just as nasty. I am convinced that the real blood sport in the United States and around the world is what's happening next Tuesday. That's your real Super Bowl, not what's going down in February in Tampa.
That's Sid Rosenberg joining us. I'm Kevin Rogers. We appreciate you watching right here on our Vegas Insider channel on YouTube.